Hey everybody, I'm Jack Reedy with Future Pastimes. I'm the designer of the Adventures of Conan, and in this video I'm going to be looking at the first 10 main action cards for solo mode. So we'll look at what all of the actions are for all of these cards so that it's clear for you if you're using these cards. The rule book for solo mode, it's got at least one mistake in it and one omission. Could it have been better? Absolutely. But, you know, any rule book could always be better. It's the one area that we had just the smallest amount of time to develop and play test and get off because they did not want to impact their publishing schedule. So solo mode was not originally going to be part of the game at all. It was just going to be a 2 to 4 player game. During the campaign, Gale Force 9 heard that a lot of players wanted solo mode, so they asked me to develop it, and we did. And I think it works really well, but I wish the rulebook had a little bit more time to go through some iterations, and so part of it's my fault, and part of it, you know, whatever, stuff falls through the cracks. So that's one of the reasons why this video exists, to help to clarify some things and hopefully answer questions so that you can enjoy solo mode if that is what you're trying to do. So we're going to look at them. All of the main action cards are numbered so that you can refer to them, but also a lot, all of the rival cards will have recommended setups. So this one says, you know, use, this is an expansion character, so it'd be use the Nemedian Chronicles number 6, and then 17 and 19 from the main game as a suggestion. You can use whichever main action cards you want. So we're going to start with number 1. This one's called Cities and Thieves. This is one of the easier ones. There are 3 levels, and that's what this little wound up there means. It's not an effect. It's just a way to measure the difficulty level of these main action cards. So one wounded, one bloody sword is easy. 3 is the difficult, and 2 is sort of in the middle. So for this one, if Conan reveals a challenge token, he will get the bell God. And remember, God tokens are not introduced into the game as they are in multiplayer. They start off, you have none of them available to you. But this is one of the ways you can get it. And here, if you use an ally's die to do that move, you're using that symbol. So either that symbol or a wild, not the character symbol. So it's this symbol specifically, that ally will score a victory point for that. Now, you're allowed to use allies' dice to move. And these symbols up here will sometimes open up additional actions that you can do with ally dice. But this one is just a further punishment for you for using a move from an ally. So these are ongoing effects throughout the main phase. Here we've got now the rubric for Conan's actions and the reactions for foes and for the ally. So if Conan uses the character symbol die, one of his dice, then you're going to check to see if the foe has a character symbol of their own in the hand. If so, you're going to spend it to place a challenge token in an adventure kingdom. And that will be done left to right from your face-up adventure kingdoms, and you will look to see, does one of them have a challenge token? If so, then you'll go to the next one. Or is there a character in there? You can't place a challenge token in a kingdom with a character. So if the first adventure kingdom, Conan is there or a rival is there, then you would go to the next one and place it. Now this challenge token will come from the foe's supply if they have any, and if they have more than one, it'll be at random. If they don't have any, it just comes from the regular supply. So even if they don't have any, that doesn't mean you don't place one. You definitely are going to place one. Conan uses the thief symbol there. And again, it's not the character deployed as thief. It has to be the actual symbol or wild used as a thief. Then you're going to spend a foe character symbol if they have one. And then Conan has to lose a fate token of his choice. And here is if Conan uses a die to advance on an achievement, then you will spend a sorcery, and then you will roll all active sorcery results of the foe, and they'll score 3 points for each one that they roll. And then those dice that are rolled, those are not spent. So this die is spent here to do this action, but the rolling of them does not spend those dice. So they only get spent if it says to spend them. Down here, if Conan does use a move symbol, and that is whether it is Conan's or an ally's. Remember, if they use an ally, first of all, the ally will get that point. Then you will trigger this here. As a reaction, you'll spend a warrior of the ally, and then it will be placed, that will be placed on the encounter track. So it doesn't get spent and then a separate one gets on here. Here it's like, boom, encounter track. And then for Kingdom or Scry action for Conan, you'll spend a character symbol here to advance on the lowest achievement. And anything that the rivals get for that advancement benefits the ally. So if it's like they're getting a fate token or getting a gold or whatever, the ally will get that. At the end of this phase, the rivals will score a point for each face-down challenge token that's on the map. And now both rivals are getting that benefit. So if there is something that is gained for on the victory point track, that's going to benefit both of the rivals. So they're both going to get a gold, or both going to get whatever. And then this is for every character result that the foe has that's unspent, they'll score 1 point. Now, the rule book has listed this as end of the round phase, and that is the one definite mistake that I've noticed. This actually happens at the end of the phase. There's only one thing that is checked on a main action card for the end of the round, which I'll point out in the next card, but it would be on this side over here. And there's really only one thing. So this is done right at the end of that phase, because you're not really going to have these unspent character results. I mean, kind of, I guess, if you do an adventure or whatever, but in the end of the round phase, it doesn't really make any sense. So this would not be true for some other effects, like how many challenge tokens they have or fate tokens, but that's still calculated end of the main phase. So this is almost everything on this card is going to relate to the main phase. Just a little thing on there, and it will make sense when we look at it, which we're going to do now. So our next card is called Confrontation. This is a 2-sword one, so it's kind of a medium difficulty level. So right away, there's an ongoing effect here, is if the foe ever has 3 or more warrior pool dice. That just means dice that can be used in a warrior pool, and that's going to be warrior results in their warrior pool, or in their dice pool, their active dice pool, wilds, of course, and characters. Those can be used to form a warrior pool. So if that's ever true, then you're going to move the foe to the first available adventure kingdom. And so it's kind of a weird way to phrase it. It's just going to be the first adventure kingdom. I'm not sure why. I don't know what I was thinking for that. Maybe a future effect. But certainly if that gets cycled, so let's say they're at one location, they're at the first adventure, and that gets cycled, they're no longer at that place, so the next available one, I don't know. So because they could move, because you are potentially doing a skill contest. So Conan uses a character or a move result, then you're going to do a skill contest. In the contest, you have skill checks and skill contest. The contest is between players. So it's going to be Conan and the foe. They're going to roll all of their active dice, and you're going to see how many warrior results they get. And whoever has the most is going to win. You'll place a challenge token in every kingdom adjacent to Conan if the foe wins. What does Conan get? Conan doesn't get anything. They get for this to not happen. So, and remember, after a skill contest or a skill check, those dice that you roll are still active dice. So this will change what Conan's active dice pool is, as well as the foes. So make your plans accordingly. And then if Conan moves up on an achievement, if he spends a die to do an achievement, you will spend a sorcery, and then it says place a matching result on the encounter track. It's not matching sorcery, it's matching whatever Conan does. Now the foes, they only have a warrior as the only actual symbol, but if they have a wild, if Conan advances on pirate, for example, you will spend a sorcery, and then if there's a wild, you will use that to put that wild on the encounter track on the space for pirate. So that's how that works. Down here, Conan does a thief action. Remember, if he advances on thief, he'll do this with that reaction, and then he'll do this with that reaction. So moving up in achievements can have multiple triggers. Here the ally is going to spend a character and then just going to steal 1 gold. Remember, stealing is from the supply, not from other players. That's plunder. Conan spends a pirate. You will spend an ally's warrior to advance the rival on their lowest achievement. And again, anything that they get there, the ally will get. And if Conan does a kingdom action here with the kingdom result, not with the character result, it's got to be this result, you'll spend a sorcery, and then you'll gain a local fate token. And remember, if the ally can gain a local fate token that is an achievement symbol, they will take that before they take anything else. And if there's more than one achievement, you go left to right. At the end of the phase, you're going to spend all of your foe dice at the end of that phase, scoring 1 point for the foe each. And then the rivals will score 1 point for each challenge token that they have. Now, the end of the round phase is for scoring adventures. That's normally what happens at the end of a round. You look to see who has an adventure card and are they in the matching kingdom. Now, in solo mode, if the rivals have an adventure card, they don't have to be in that kingdom. They just score. So here, if the foe has an adventure card, they will score, and if the ally has an adventure card, they will score. They will get all that score, but they'll get all the rewards for those adventures. And remember, it'll be the last adventure that they got. So that's just, you just keep a pile. And if they are getting a pile of cards, Conan, and you're doing something horribly wrong. So yeah, this is one of the reasons why this is a double difficulty or medium difficulty. So the only thing that matters for the end of the round, this end of the phase. And the spending of the dice is a big deal because all of the characters have got one side or another, in some cases both, but you see this side of Amalric has an effect for however many dice that he has not spent by the end of the main action phase. You will have, he gets 2 victory points. And so, if we look at a bad guy, let's look at the Bone Woman here. Yeah, so she's got one on both sides. If she has 2 or more leftover dice, here she will steal a gold from Conan. And then here she's plundering. Well, actually, wouldn't be steal a gold. It's just forcing Conan to lose a gold, plundering from Conan it is plunder. So yeah, plunder. Still gold from Conan. On this side, you'd be plundering a fate token from Conan. So, and it would be of Conan's choice. That's the only upside for there. So the other side of most of the characters, there is no additional effect for having unspent dice. But it's one of those things where you're looking at what's going to happen if this rival has unspent dice and then weighing it against what does this rival do if I'm spending their dice, and which is worse. So you're trying to figure that out. All right, number 3 is called Conquer and Survive. And this is a 3-sword one. So this is 1. And this first 10 has got quite a few of the very challenging cards. So here, if Conan reveals a challenge token, he's going to get a fate token. And this is an ongoing effect. So if they get a god, they're only going to get that god the one time. But for other stuff, they get more stuff. Here, if they're using the ally's move symbol or wild for move, the ally will score a point. So we've seen that before. Here, Conan uses a character symbol. You're going to trigger a skill contest for warrior. The winner will gain a local fate token, and the loser is wounded. So that can be a big deal, but warrior is, that's Conan's best symbol. So this actually might work out pretty well. Conan goes up on the achievement track. This is also a skill contest, but this is for move. The winner will gain a warrior fate token. The loser is wounded. And, again, if let's say the foe has some warrior fate tokens and they're doing a skill contest, if it will help them to win it, they'll spend them. And that's true for any time the foe is trying to do something. If spending a fate token, or not just foe, any rival, if spending a fate token means they will succeed or get what they want, they'll spend it. So that's the kind of rule for that. Oh, there's more here. On the ally side here, if Conan does a trade action by using a wild as a trade, or like using a trade fate token to change a die into a trade. Again, it won't be a deploy, so it has to be this. So that's not super likely to happen. Here, you'll do a skill check. And the skill check, that is, unless it says Conan does a skill check, this is the ally doing it. So the ally will roll their active dice, and for each sorcery that they roll, they will cycle a rogue encounter. And rogue encounter, again, is any encounter that its criteria of whether or not Conan faces it corresponds to one of the face-up adventure kingdoms. So if one of the encounters is a wealthy kingdom, if none of the adventures take place in a wealthy kingdom, that is a rogue encounter. And you would do that left to right. So if they were all rogue, you just do the first one. Conan does a move, including using an ally's move to do an action. You'll do a skill check for the ally, and however many warriors they roll, Conan will lose a fate token for each one. Conan does a scry action here. There's another skill check, and you're rolling for the ally's character symbol. Each one they roll, they will advance on thief for each success. So, yeah, this may be a good time to not scry for Conan. Because remember, and these dice are still active after these skill checks. You're not spending any of the dice. None of these things, none of these ally reactions spend a die. It's one of the reasons why this is a 3-sword deal. At the end of the main phase, Conan can heal a wound by discarding 3 fate tokens. That's pretty costly. But here we have our first effect here. It's the victory point symbol with Conan's symbol in it. If Conan is behind the rivals, he gets the set fate or a god token. So that's pretty good. At the end of the round, the foe will gain adventure rewards if they have an adventure card. So don't let them get that. Number 4 is Crom's Devils. This is also ×3. So this is a tough one too. There's no beginning of the phase effects. So we dive right in. Character result for Conan will be a skill contest. So that's between Conan and the foe with 3 results that you're counting up. It's move, kingdom, and scry. If the foe wins, Conan loses all fate tokens and moves to Samaria. And what does Conan get? Conan gets to not have this happen. So this is a rough one. If Conan moves up in the achievement track, you're going to spend a foe's sorcery if possible, and then place a challenge token in every adventure kingdom. And remember, those challenge tokens, they come from the foe's supply if they have any, and then from the general supply if they don't. They won't come from the allies' supply. Conan uses a thief. You're going to spend a character for the foe to gain a local fate token for the foe. And once again, if you move up on thief, you'll trigger that and then that. So double reaction. And if Conan uses a pirate, you'll spend a warrior for the foe if possible, and Conan loses 2 gold. And again, this is one, if he goes up on pirate on the achievement track, you could be doing a double trigger here. So be careful, Conan. Conan scries, then the ally will spend their character to advance on their highest achievement. If you spend a move, they'll spend a move to gain a local fate token. And if you do a kingdom, then it'll be a skill check for the ally, and they will gain 1 victory point for each warrior that they roll. And that counts wilds. It would not count characters. You don't count characters as anything in a skill check unless you're doing a skill check on the character symbol. At the end of the phase, the foe will advance on their lowest achievement for each unspent die at the end of the main phase. So you're like, oh, I really want to spend these foe dice, but is this worse? And this could be a cumulative effect with whatever, the foe does as well. So careful of that. Then the rivals, they get 2 victory points for every challenge token they have. Now, they've got ways that they're going to be putting down challenge tokens, so you might not have to worry about that too much. But then they will both get rewards at the end of the round if they have cards. Another triple sword here, another difficult one for card number 5, the Curse of Set. So for the rest of the round, Conan cannot use any wilds to be counted as any of the achievement symbols. Can't use them for thief, pirate, or warrior. Can't use his wilds for any of those symbols. So that's rough. And then speaking of which, if you move up on the achievement, you'll spend a sorcery to move a looming challenge token one kingdom. Remember, a looming challenge token is whichever one is closest to Conan, or if there is one close to it, Adventure Kingdom, it will go there. For the thief result, you'll spend a character on the foe to place a challenge token in each wealthy kingdom that has the scry attribute. If you do a scry, you'll spend a warrior to just gain a gold for the foe. Use a move, you'll spend an ally character to advance on the lowest achievement. The pirate, you'll spend an ally move symbol here to gain a local fate token. And then the kingdom will be a skill check for the ally for warrior, and you will move a looming challenge token one kingdom for each warrior success. At the end of the phase, for each temple of Set that's on the map, the rivals will score 4 victory points at the end of that phase. But if Conan is behind the rivals in the score, he'll get the Ibis God token, and then the foe will get adventures rewards if they have an adventure card at the end of that round. Number 6, another very difficult one, the Curse of Zath. So here, each time Conan moves, you're going to cycle a rogue encounter, and that's going to play into down here, potentially, as we'll see in a second. So Conan, character, you'll spend a character for the foe to cycle a rogue encounter. Conan does a move, you'll spend a move for the foe to move a looming challenge token. And then here, if Conan does a thief, you'll spend a warrior by putting it on the encounter track. Here, if Conan spends a warrior, you'll do a skill check for the ally, looking for their character symbol, and you will cycle a rogue encounter for each success. So there's a lot of rogue encounter cycling here. You spend a kingdom, then the ally will spend a move and putting it on the encounter track if possible. And if you do a scry, you'll do a skill check for warrior for the ally, and they'll get 1 victory point for each success. Now, at the end of the phase, if the giant spider encounter is unlocked, treat all encounters as a giant spider. So the giant spider is in any kingdom. So this is kind of what this main action card wants to have, is you're cycling through to hopefully get to the giant spider, because the giant spider cannot be cycled through a cycle rogue encounters. And in fact, none of the encounters that are in any kingdom, those are never considered rogue, because any kingdom means that they will always be applicable. And remember, in solo mode, it only takes 1 die to unlock encounters. So they do get unlocked quite frequently. And then, yeah, in some cases, you might be replacing a worse encounter with the giant spider, but the giant spider is plenty bad, and that's one of the reasons why, is because it has, on the orange dice requirements, Conan has to use a double warrior. For everybody else, that double warrior just means 2 warriors. They don't have the double warrior symbol, and you can't use Set as a double warrior, for example. So yeah, that's just an extra warrior. So it is, the giant spider is hard for everybody, but it's really hard for Conan. And then also, if Conan is behind the rivals on the scoring track by 10 or more, you're going to add the Zath God token to Zamora. So you might be able to just go get it. Fortunately, there's no other scoring and there's no adventure rewards, but there's plenty bad with that one. This could be a really bad main action card for Conan, depending on what gets cycled out. There's a lot of rogue encounters that get cycled. Even if you don't get to the giant spider, you might get to some really horrible things. All right, number 7 is called Dark Pathways. This is a medium one. So if Conan reveals 2 challenge tokens, he will get the Al-Kir God token. And here, if Conan uses the character symbol, that's 2 points. But now he can use the character symbol for more than just movement. This unlocks the character symbol, period. Conan can use an ally's character result as if it's his own character result. He can use it to deploy. He could spend them to move up on the plot, but he's given up some points there. So you got to really think about that. But that's the point of these things up here, is it opens up the ally's dice in some cases. For the ones where we've seen it's move, he could use move anyway, but now there's just a penalty for doing it. But now you can potentially use these to do more things that you wouldn't normally be able to do. But those are going to have a cost. And again, if you're using those dice, it counts as Conan using them. And so if that symbol shows up here, that's Conan's character symbol. So that would not trigger it. But if you're like, I'm deploying it to do something else, well, actually, no, the deploy, it's free deploy. I'm just now realizing that. This is, and that's why it's 2 points. So yeah, if you're like, I want to do some of these things, but I don't want to trigger these responses, and I don't want to trigger that. So it's not the same symbol, so it will not trigger. So here we go down the rubric. If Conan does use his own character symbol, you're going to put a foe die on the encounter track. You will do a warrior first if that's available. If Conan does this again and there is another warrior available in the foe supply and on the encounter track, that will happen again. Otherwise, you'll then check to see if they can do it with a sorcery symbol. Then you've got, if Conan moves, foe will spend a move to place a challenge token in every Eldritch Kingdom. So yikes. Conan does the thief action here. Here it's the same thing. I don't know why there's not a dash in between. It's the same sort of thing. You'll spend a kingdom if that's possible. Then you'll spend a scry if that's possible. And then you will score 3 victory points for that foe. Here it's you are going to be spending, if you go up on the achievement track, then the ally will similarly try to go up on an achievement track. And here it doesn't matter if Conan says, yeah, I'm spending a warrior to go up on warrior. The order of operations here for this is they will go top to bottom. They'll spend a thief first if they have a thief, then a pirate, then a warrior. And so, yeah, it doesn't really, it doesn't have to match. It'll just be whatever. So if Conan goes up on the warrior, if they, they don't, let's say the Conan goes up on thief and they don't, oh, we don't have a thief, but I have a warrior. They'll go up on warrior. So this is where the ally is really going to, if Conan tries to go up on an achievement track, there's a really good chance the ally will as well. Conan uses the trade, is going to spend a sorcery to cycle a rogue encounter. And here, the sail or pirate action here, you're going to be cycling a rogue encounter by either spending a sorcery or spending an ally character. End of the phase, spend all rival dice at the end of the phase, and you'll score 1 point for each die. And then rivals will score 1 point immediately for each challenge token that they have. And then these are the end of the, both of these characters, both rivals will get adventure card rewards. All right, we're down to the last 3. Another 3-1. There's 10 of each, so it's not like the main action cards. Most of them are the really difficult level. So we're just seeing a lot of them in the first 10 cards. So this one is called Drained Strength. So the first die that Conan uses, you're going to put that die up here. And that is because for the rest of the round, that the die that is up there is set aside for the rest of the round. It's almost like a wound. And if Conan uses or applies this symbol for any reason, the foe will score 2 points. So if Conan uses a character symbol, then this die is not going to matter in the encounter phase because Conan can't use them for that, and it won't matter in the adventure phase either because Conan can't use them. But if the first thing you do is that and you rolled a lot of characters, then you're going to be giving them points for that. So you got to really think carefully as Conan, which die do you want to use first, because you're losing that die, and that symbol is also going to potentially work against you. So speaking of which, if you do a character, you're going to then roll a die that if the foe has a character symbol of themselves for themselves, you will roll that die. And it's 1. So you would, if they have 3, you're not going to roll all 3. You'll just roll the 1. You will place the result on the encounter track if possible. Well, what happens if you don't roll it? That's still an active die. So sorry, or good luck. If they do a pirate, you're going to do a skill check for the move symbol. And that's skill check again is the foe's dice. All of their active dice. For each success that they roll, you're going to move a looming challenge token toward Conan. And then if Conan goes up on an achievement, you'll do a skill contest. So that's between Conan and the ally. For the warrior symbol, the winner will plunder 2 fate tokens from the opposing character. So that's pretty good. You could probably steal some stuff from the ally. And And then if you do a move, you'll have a skill contest for sorcery. That's going to benefit the ally most likely. The winner will plunder a gold from the other character. If Conan is behind the rivals in the score at the end of the phase, he'll pick up the Emir God token, and then both rivals can get adventure rewards. Number 9 is one of the easier ones, Fairweather Friend. So here, if Conan reveals a challenge token, he gets a fate token of his choice. That's what the question mark means. It means anyone, not the wild, though. That's the star one that you can get in the expansion. But this is each time. It's an ongoing effect. And then for the move, it's 2 points. 2 points for the move here. So Fairweather Friend. For these symbols here, you will spend a sorcery for the foe. And if Conan steals, if he's stealing or sailing as part of that, then you will place a challenge token in an adventure kingdom. If you are spending these dice to just move up on an achievement, you get to spend that die, and then there's no effect. So that's kind of nice. That's one of the easier ones. Of course, if you're doing an achievement, there has its own its own reaction that you have to deal with. For scrying, you'll spend a scry, and then the rival will gain a scry fate token. Here, if Conan uses his character, then what's going to happen is it takes 2 dice to deploy dice in order to move. So if Conan is like, yeah, I'm employing this die to move, it would actually take 2 dice, which feeds into this right here. But Conan may use any of the ally dice as part of that. So it's not like you couldn't do that anyway. You could, but this effect lets him say, all right, I'm deploying this and one of those dice in order to do it. But that just means it's going to be 2 points there. So we've seen this before, so that's the same. Here, this only triggers if Conan does this with his orange dice. Then you would spend an ally die to put it on the encounter track. End of the phase, if Conan does not attempt an adventure, normally the rivals will move up on the plot. Well, here they'll move up on the plot twice. So yikes. And then for every fate token that a rival has, they score for 1 point. Only the ally will get rewards. And that brings us to our last one, Favor and Harvest. This is a medium one. So if Conan reveals a challenge token, he's going to get Ishtar. Here, Conan can use an ally's dice to scry. That's 2 points that the ally will get. Here, if Conan does he spends a character result, you will spend a foe character result, and they'll get 1 point. For move, you will spend a foe to cycle a rogue encounter. For a kingdom action here, you will spend a move to gain a challenge token for the foe. And here, if you do a scry, you'll spend a sorcery, and you will place it on an adventure as an additional requirement. So it'll be on the first adventure that's along the way. We talked about instituting a rule for effects like this, like if Conan is already in an adventure kingdom, that's the one it goes to. The rules don't explicitly say that. I would use that playing solo mode, and I suggest you do as well. It makes it more challenging, and it's what another player would do. So there you go. Here, if Conan advances, they're going to do it, and they will also gain a matching fate token. So if they move up on Thief, they'll get Thief. If they move up on Warrior, they'll get a Warrior. And it's matching their achievement and not Conan's. And if they don't advance on any achievements, they don't get anything. And here we got Thief and Pirate. You will spend a sorcery to then do a skill check for the ally's character result, and they will gain a gold and 2 victory points for each success. At the end of this phase, for every character result that is left over for the ally, they'll get 1 point. Oops. And then the ally also can get adventure rewards. So those are our first 10 cards. Let me know if you have any questions about those cards or anything about the rules. And again, I apologize that we have that mistake. What was the omission? Of course, the omission is this. This is never really explained. The difficulty level on there. I've got, I'll post a link to it, but I put up a thing on Board Game Geek that explains the anatomy of these main action cards a little bit better, and has some other tips on there. But again, ask your questions. Definitely want people who are going to do solo mode to do it correctly and have as an enjoyable experience as is possible for them. So that's it for this one, everyone. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.